Okay, so welcome back to the Northern Nerd Network. My name is Dan Schessel, and on today's Nerdcast, we have none other than Chelsea Thompson. Say hello, Chelsea.
Hey!
And we also have Allison, who just joined us.
Yay!
All right.
Hi.
Awesome. Good. Everything's working. So yes, tonight we are talking about GOB Fest. And,
Hooray!
yes, it's gonna be an awesome time. All right, so but first off, we like to ask everyone how their week was. So, Allison, how was your week? I'm just gonna throw you right in.
It was really good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Week was really, really good. I mean, it was a long weekend, so we played a lot of games. I actually counted. We played 8 different games this weekend, and we did our very first escape room, so that was a lot of fun.
Ooh, where'd you go to? Which escape room?
We went to Escape City, and we did not win, but it was good. It was a good time.
What was your scenario?
It was the inheritance. So we had a wealthy relative who kind of hid the will that we had to try and find, and it was tough. It was tough. I think we learned a lot from our failure, and I think that we'll be better next time.
That sounds amazing.
I just want to, part 2 follow up. What were the 8 board games you played this week?
Okay, well, we played Merchants and Marauders for the first time. That was really good. Pandemic Legacy, we've got a group going. We just did March, so we did our 3rd play, and we've been doing really, really well. We've been getting really lucky. We played And Then We Held Hands, which was a really interesting 2-player game. We played Mysterium. That was cool. It was our first time playing that, too. Formula D, an old favorite for large groups. We played a little bit of Twilight Struggle. We usually only play one phase of the war at a time because we are not that fast. We played Coven, which is a relatively new game by an Alberta designer named Paul Saxberg. And we played Codenames with the family after Easter dinner.
Awesome.
When I add it all up, that's a lot of games.
Just a few.
Time well spent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
All right, so Chelsea,
Yeah.
how was your weekend? I know you were a little sick there.
Yeah. So Friday night we went out for dinner on Good Friday, and I must have eaten something that disagreed with me because Saturday morning I woke up and I felt like somebody was squeezing my insides and proceeded to lose whatever I had eaten the night previous and spend the day clinging to a bucket. I was laid up all day and I was super bummed out, and I felt like such a flake. Dan has recently started GMing a Star Wars D&D group, and we have been in the process of starting and building characters, and I think it was the 3rd outing in our adventuring, and I had been putting off because I was hoping as the day was going by and I was guzzling ginger ale and downing ginger gravel by the handfuls that I would be feeling better. But an hour before game time, I finally caved and messaged Dan and be like, I'm totally that person who's flaking out right now because I can't really sit up because my stomach hates me.
You had a good reason, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to rub it in, but we had an amazing time.
I know, and Mackie, I know you asked, though.
Yeah.
So our friend Mackie, who was just on the Nerdcast for Pi Day, who many Edmonton nerds know and love from lightsaber fighting in Churchill Square, came and joined our group in the stead of another one of our players who was away, and I was so excited to play with Mackie, but I'm excited to hear that it's been posted out to the group to see if he can become a regular, which will be fun. So
yeah. So
and I'm really excited. I mean, after we stayed up, I was in town the weekend before visiting, and after the Nerdcast we stayed up and Dan was helping me tweak the character I was building, and after we did all those tweaks I went back and I tweaked a couple more things, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited to play her. She's going to be awesome. Because it was, the obligation we got really into her backstory and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing, and then I couldn't play, and I was so bummed. But next week, Gadget, right? Possibly
Yes.
an extra game.
We are. Well, what's going to happen is this big giant shelf that's here right now is being moved to the other wall.
Whoa.
I'm
So
taking out.
fancy.
I know. And I'm taking out the TV that's in here, and moving it into the other room.
Whoa.
So that the boys, because I mean they like to watch TV and they use my Xbox all the time and they're in here like constantly. So I'm gonna just take it out and put it in the other room so that they can play it a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna put a table back here.
Rearranging designated game space, leave it set up and everything, and
so that I don't have to change this computer to the
Yeah.
other room every single time I do it. So yeah, it'll be good times.
I like your plan, sir. How about you? How was your week?
My week was great. I had it was super busy this whole weekend. I was like nonstop from Friday. I had to go to work first thing in the morning for a little bit, and then I had like a dinner with my parents on Friday night because I mean it's Easter. We do tons of dinner, and so I did that, and then afterwards. On Saturday, I had some other stuff I was doing first thing in the morning, and by the time Saturday night rolled around, we did our RPG night game, and then Sunday it was back to we went to church in the morning, and then straight over to Trina's mom's house for Easter again. So we had more Easter, more food. I'm surprised I'm not 300 pounds by now, but yeah, it was good. And so we went there. We were there from like all afternoon till like 8 o'clock at night. So I have barely been had a moment to myself.
Now, are your and Trina's clans chicken/turkey people or ham people for Easter?
Well,
There's a very the division is palpable between what the family tradition is to cook for Easter.
see, on my mom's side, I don't know. Like she just cooks whatever. We had turkey at my mom's, but at Trina's place, it was turkey and ham.
Wow.
So, I mean, we're
Why
getting it
choose
all.
just one, right?
Yeah, might as well just get them all, right? So yes. Anyways, back to the RPG thing. I wanted to tell you a little bit because I mean you missed out. I just wanted to let you know what
Was
happened.
Sasha sidelined by an alien virus? Was
Yeah,
she
she
holed
was,
up
she was
in the med bay for the
in the med
entire
bay.
adventure?
Yeah, in the Cryot Fang, which is an old
Damn
YT
it.
1300.
Yeah.
So she was in the med bay. But during the night, they were sent off to Christophus, which is a crystalline planet, and they were kind of robbed by some guy that our pilot knows. So that was they weren't too happy about that. They got their shipment robbed from them, and yeah, they wanted to
feel
hunt this
like I
man
could have
down.
perception checked the crap out of that and told them something was up.
You probably could have, but I'm sure that somehow that shipment was going to get robbed no matter what.
Anyway, says the GM, it's gonna happen regardless.
Yeah. So anyways, they had to make it up to the guy that they were selling the goods to, and basically he wanted them to go take care of some guys for him because they're sort of his competition, right? So they go to a building, and it's a penthouse bar that they're at, and they go in there, and they don't know who these guys are, and so they go to talk to the bartender and say, hey, we got this shipment. Do you know anybody who would be interested in buying this? And when they rolled some threat inside their roll. And so I didn't say anything, but I pointed them to maybe perhaps the wrong people. And they ended up killing those people by accident. And then that caused a whole big stir because they found out that those were the wrong people that they killed. And they got into just this big giant fight inside the bar. I mean, I'm sorry, you just missed this whole like.
Listening to you describe it, it sounds like the plot of an episode of Firefly, and I am especially mad that I'm.
And now we got to go back to the book that we were on. So, but we'll finish that up anyways. All right. Let's continue on.
Before we go on, question: do either of you lovely people have a particularly loud clock in the background?
Oh yeah, that's probably me.
Okay.
Do you want me to stop?
There's something. No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't my mic. Sometimes cuts in and out, and I didn't want to make sure that it wasn't.
No,
that is actually a sound. Okay,
it
good.
Is. Yeah, it is a real clock.
Excellent. No, clocks are great. Woohoo.
Helpful. Right. Yeah.
They do help. So yes, Chelsea, what are the news items for tonight?
Obviously, the clock is telling us it's time for the news. So we're going to start off with a couple of pretty cool inventions that we like to toss into the news every now and then because we're nerds and inventions are amazing. The world is amazing. The way people's brains work. So our first news item, the first invention on the block this evening, is actually a Kickstarter. They have 22 days to go on their Kickstarter. Their goal was $80,000, and they're currently at 1.3 million and change.
Wow.
With support from almost 9,500 backers.
Wow. So pretty successful.
So, I mean,
right.
when I tell you what their invention is that they're trying to get kickstarted, you'll understand why it's been so successful. So this invention is called Olo, and it's a 3D printer that allows you to print 3D objects off your smartphone.
That is pretty cool.
What?
So the link that we have linked on our Facebook page in the news items is the link to their Kickstarter page, and if you watch the video, it's amazing. So you download their app or any other sort of 3D images that people have released for free use on the internet. It also allows you, if you have like any kind of CAD or 3D modeler programs, images that you've saved there and downloaded onto your phone. Basically, you put this case on top of your phone and pour in the resin, and it uses the light from the picture of this 3D image to cook the resin and print the 3D model. So you can use the specific Olo app to send somebody an Olo email that will have a secret 3D model in it. So you can send like secret 3D messages to somebody that they won't know until they open it and use their Olo printer to print it.
That is wild.
This is incredible. The craziest thing I've ever seen.
So the craziest thing, they're marketing the printer itself for a retail cost of $99. I imagine the cost will come in the cost of the resin. They don't, in their video, they don't mention the specific cost of the resin. They say specifically, very ambiguously, that it's about par with the cost of other resins for other 3D printers. That's all they mention about the cost of it. So I imagine that's where the cost will come in. But at the same time, being able to 3D print objects from your smartphone.
That's incredible. That's really bringing it into the realm of, possible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is insane.
Bananas.
Like, you just pour it into this box, essentially, and it just pulls it out of your phone.
And voila, an object appears.
Yeah, that is just crazy.
If the lapse time is accurate, when they show a little clock on the video, lapse time, it looks like printing time is 3 to 4 hours to create an object, to cook the resin enough to build it. Which, again...
And it doesn't seem like it takes a whole lot of resin to actually do it, like, depending on the object, but yeah.
No, and they've got all different kinds of resins, so they've got resins that are mixable with, like, metal casts, so you can 3D print, like, metal cast objects.
Wow.
They've got flexible resins for making, like, they show 2 examples of, like, stamps for, like, printmaking, hard resins for models. They've got, like, white opaque resins so that once it's printed you can paint it. Colored resins, yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Well, and the technology to make this thing, the box that's, you know, the size of an old school, like, 80s film camera that sits on top of your smartphone. What? The what now? Yeah.
I want one. Treater's not going to let me have it, but I want one.
$99.
$99 though. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Oh, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see. I'm interested to see the video because I'd like to see what the quality is, and is this something that you could? Well, I mean, no matter the quality, you could use it for kind of whatever you can think of. But it seems that it's kind of a novelty, sort of, the novelty of being able to send someone a message that's going to print in 3D seems like the biggest draw for me. I mean, we pay lots of money on novelties every year, so I would do it.
I mean, I spend so much money on just buying those stupid Kinder eggs. I mean, like, this is so much cooler.
The thing that gets me is right now, and especially in the video, they're presenting it sort of from this novelty aspect that anybody could have a 3D printer in the palm of their hand. But what I'm interested in is, this technology in the palm of your hand becoming more accessible. What then someone will do with it down the line in more, practical applications for, more serious applications. The idea that, you could AutoCAD model tiny parts and print them in the field on the go for replacements for, whatever, right?
All sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, the more people who have access to the technology, the more uses we're going to find for it, I can't imagine all of the uses that it might have, but that's cool.
I can make
What's it called again?
Olo. O-L-O.
All right.
Yeah. So it's posted on the Northern Nerd Facebook page. Every time we have a Nerdcast, we post our news items up for our loyal listeners and watchers so they can follow along with us if they happen to be watching live. So if you want to check it out, it's posted there. But from one very cool invention that may be a little presently on the novelty side to another cool invention that is definitely on the practical, and it seems like such a small thing, but potentially world-changing invention in terms of sustainability and recyclables, etc. Edible cutlery.
I heard about this. I didn't actually read anything.
Chopsticks, spoons, forks, knives that I believe are made of rice and corn and are completely edible. But if you don't feel like having a crunchy snack with whatever you're eating, you can dispose them in the regular garbage, and I believe the video says they're compostable in like a week.
Yeah,
they'll completely dissolve.
Yep.
So the big question is, what do they taste like?
Probably like rice or.
I imagine like a rice cracker. If they're made of corn and rice, like a tortilla chip or a rice cracker.
Yeah,
I'm sure it would go great with salsa.
The inventor, I believe, is from India, where, plastic cutlery is actually a really big problem. The amount that gets consumed and thrown away, and, So, like I said, something that seems so small and insignificant, which actually makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, it really adds up. You can, think about the number of times you eat takeout or something like that. If you have to throw it all away, I think I would just out of habit probably throw it away. I would forget that it's edible.
120 billion pieces.
Fine.
Here we go. In their video, they've got the statistic. 120 billion pieces of disposable plastic cutlery are thrown out every year. 120 billion. And it's not just the waste that's created by that, it's the whole process that goes into creating the plastic cutlery in the first place. The oil that needs to be extracted and refined in the factories that burn fossil fuels to run the machinery, to mold the plastics into the cutlery, the packaging, the cardboard packaging, the trees that are harvested and cut down to create the cardboard to make the packaging for the plastic cutlery.
It
The
goes on and
ripple
on.
effects are so far-reaching. It's crazy.
So is this edible cutlery available for purchase? Like if I'm having a barbecue, can I order a bunch, or is it still in the development phase?
You know what? I'm not sure.
I think for right now it's still in the development phase. They're trying to outreach, like they're trying to get hit a larger market.
Right.
But at the moment, I think it's only
in
select
development
areas.
in India, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean, the populations there is huge, so I imagine if there is any sort of degree of success there, that it would be fairly easily distributed to other markets. So.
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, if they can actually like make a plant or be able to build them somewhere else, or make these spoons somewhere else, then yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And apparently the cost of these spoons are pretty low. So, I mean, how much does a chip cost?
Far better use for all that corn in Iowa than processed corn syrup. Well, those are our two cool inventions for this evening, and now on to, the hot topic on tonight's news. The mixed reviews of Batman and Superman Dawn of Justice. So the mixed reviews have been all over the news, and sort of the general consensus I've been getting in reviews that I've been reading and things like that are a few very loud voices who have left very loud and public reviews are kind of tainting the movie. But anybody I know who's, a fan of canon and the comics and things like that are, finding the movie rather enjoyable. One note that I have heard sort of across, I haven't seen it yet, and so, I'm interested to go and form my own opinions. And the link we have posted, this is what the reviewer says. Go and see it, form your own opinion. But one sort of through note that I've heard is that not too many people are a fan of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. That's sort of a through note that I'm hearing across the board. Another through note I'm hearing across the board, though, is that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is like the most amazing thing ever. So I'm really
excited
excited
amazing.
for that.
I did hear, like, no matter who the reviewer is or where that's coming from, yeah, she's apparently supposed to be really good.
I'm really excited for that. It makes me even more excited for the standalone Wonder Woman movie. So yeah.
Is it going to be the same actress?
Yeah.
In the standalone? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance. Like I was so busy this weekend that I couldn't go and see it, but I will be going this weekend to go and check it out. Yeah, I want to go and just see what it's about. I just from the previews, I haven't been really on board with this one, but we'll see. I'm not gonna say anything until I actually go and see the movie myself.
See, I feel like when Man of Steel came out, it hit similar. There was kind of mixed feelings about it. I'm in the camp. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it for a very specific reason. I feel like of all the Superman movies and incarnations of Superman, Man of Steel really, really got that Kal-El is who he is, and Clark Kent is his alter ego. In Man of Steel, seeing him get to the Fortress of Solitude and put on the cape and fly, that was no big deal. That happened like halfway through the movie. The big reveal at the end of the movie is him riding his bike to the Daily Planet and getting off the elevator, and the big reveal is him, donning the glasses as Clark Kent and straightening his tie. That's the big reveal at the end. And so I really appreciated that they got that from the canon and really explored sort of that angle of it. So I'm cautiously optimistic that, it will continue with Dawn of Justice, but we'll see.
I also haven't seen it, but of the things that I've heard, it seems like a lot of the people who are big fans appreciate that it kind of captured the spirit of Superman and the spirit of Batman, you know, like they're kind of essential traits. That's what I've heard, but I'm interested to see it myself.
Yeah, and that's if you're familiar with any of like the classic comic book canon at all, it will be really appealing to you. That's what I've been hearing. So that's good.
Yeah, I think it's always nice when they do it for the fans, you know? It's not just for the mass appeal, like because it seems to be that the people who aren't super fans aren't as crazy about it. So it's kind of neat that they've tailored it for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Well, I think that just about wraps up our news for this week.
Now on to the good stuff.
Yes.
More games!
More games. So many games. Games forever.
Well, and specifically, our lovely guest Allison is here to talk to us about not only board games, but specifically GOB Fest, the festival of board games.
Of games on boards, yes.
Games on boards and the people who love them.
That's what it's all about, yeah. So it's coming up soon, not this coming weekend, but the one after that, the 9th and 10th. I keep getting that wrong. The 9th and 10th. We have a ton of exciting things going on this year. Some of them are things we did last year that were really successful, so we're bringing them back again. So the flea market is coming back. If you've got some games that you want to switch out and freshen up your collection, you can do that at the flea market. Paul Saxberg with Roxley Games, which is a Alberta-based game publishing company, is going to be coming there to demo games. So they made Super Motherload. That's one of the ones they did. And I can't remember any others off the top of my head. So anyway, they'll be there doing some demos. We've got a Prototype Alley. This is new this year. This is kind of a place for people to come and see current game prototypes that are being worked on by people in Edmonton and in Calgary. We get a lot of people from outside of Edmonton as well. So you can come and bring your prototype, get some input on it, or check out what other people are doing, chat about game design, play tests and things. So that'll be really exciting. We've had a few people... Yeah, we've had a few designers who are really interested in bringing their prototypes and getting some feedback, so that should be really cool. We've got the game design workshop again this year. So Roberta Taylor is coming back. She's done a few games. Sherwood Showdown, I think, is one of them. Octopus's Garden, also one that Roberta Taylor did, and I really liked it. So she'll be coming back to do a hands-on workshop to kind of lead you through the process of designing a game, help see where your strengths are, and kind of arm you with a few good exercises and tools and resources. We're doing life-size Dutch Blitz again this year, which was a lot of fun and a lot of like crazy running around. I
got to play that last year, and yes, it was a lot of fun. It was a little bit. It was a madhouse.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a good time, and I think it's kind of nice to inject a little bit of physical play, like a more kind of physical aspect. Because board games are pretty, you're not moving a whole lot.
Sitting for a while usually. To get that blood pumping every now and then.
Exactly.
And those giant cards are like dangerous weapons when they're in the wrong hand. I just want to put that out there.
Well, we encourage safe play for everybody.
Yes.
Another thing that is in the works, I haven't confirmed it 100% yet, but we are talking with Z-Man Games and trying to get a Carcassonne tournament, an official Carcassonne tournament. So we did have a Carcassonne tournament on the schedule, and we do have it. If we can get 16 players, this can be an official Z-Man Carcassonne tournament that is a qualifier for another tournament. And I believe it's a Canada-wide tournament, and it might even lead on to North America-wide. So this would be fun. Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, it as far as I know right now, it's really hinging on whether we get those 16 people sign up. So cross your fingers if you're a Carcassonne fan, or even if you just really enjoy tournaments.
Yeah, so if you're out there If you're out there watching this or listening to this on your radio, and you like Carcassonne, because I know I do, go and sign up for this event.
That's a great idea. gobfest.ca. You can register online. We're also going to have a table at the U of A's Student Union building this week. Tomorrow and Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we will have people in the Student Union building at the U of A with a table there, and if you sign up on the spot, you get a $5 discount. So
Nice.
there's another thing to do. What else is a lot's going on. I mean, we've got a huge schedule. We added one extra game per time slot to our schedule, so we've got tons going on. We're taking over another room in the Alberta Ave Community Hall, so we'll have tons and tons of space. So it's an exciting time.
Mm.
So now, Allison, sorry, Dan. I want to backtrack a bit and ask you a little bit about GOB Fest's origins.
Sure.
The genesis of, how it came to be and how long it's been running and, how many GOB Fests you guys have put on, all that good stuff. Tell us your origin story.
So this is the fourth GOB Fest coming up. It'll be our fourth year. And we've been growing a fair bit. We've had we've been well received by people, and the community, I think, is really coming together. And so I'm really excited about this year to see how she goes. It started out as an offshoot of a group called POGOB, which stands for Players of Games on Boards. And then the natural progression is GOB Fest, Games on Boards Festival. So that was an informal group. It was started out by a bunch of people who were students at the U of A at the time, and they started up a student group and got together on the weekends every Sunday at 2 p.m. in the Student Union Building food court. And that group is still going on. It's a drop-in group, so there is no registering, there's no RSVPing. You can if you want. There is a meetup group. But it's kind of just based on the idea that whoever can make it will make it, and you just drop in, bring some games. There will be other people who bring games, and you just meet new people and play.
I honestly can't believe I didn't know that it existed while I was a student at the U of A. It makes my soul a little sad that I missed out on such glory.
You can still go. It's open to everyone, so don't feel too bad. It's still there for you. But yeah, it was kind of GOB Fest grew because a lot of the people who kind of founded POGOB went to FallCon in Calgary and things like that, and thought, why don't we do this here? Why don't we have this in Edmonton? We can support. We're just as cool as Calgary. People like us just as much as Calgary. So we, so a group of dedicated people got together, and here it is.
So I want to just ask, like, the board game community, when GOB Fest first started, GOB Fest was pretty much the only board gaming thing other than POGOB in Edmonton. Now we have cafes, we have all sorts of different things, and there's so many different places where you can go play board games now. How do you feel about this explosion of board gaming?
I think it's fantastic. I think that it's only doing good things for the community. I think that all of these places where you can go to play board games, it's not really competition. It's we feed each other. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We grow the community, and we all do better when everyone succeeds. That's how I see it. That it's growing. It's really growing a community, which is really the important thing, right? That's because that's what carries through. GOB Fest is one weekend a year, and so building the community so that it can be vibrant and sustain itself throughout the year, I think, is fantastic. I'm really into it.
Well, and like you said earlier, there's so much more. You guys have all these different things going on. I think you said there was a panel of someone's going to come and talk. Plus, there's what was it?
Yeah, we've got the game design workshop.
Game design workshop. Yeah, prototype alley.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
The
some
things
things
that are
you just don't get to see all the time, and yeah, this is just an amazing venue for those people to, get their stuff out. That's for sure.
exactly, yeah. It's not only playing games, like there's room for all kinds of different stuff under this roof. So I'm pretty excited.
Well, and I think they feed each other. The growth and appreciation of people who play board games allow for these, like you were saying, smaller local development companies, somebody who's had an idea for a game that they've been prototyping and workshopping in their basement or their garage for years, when the market of people who appreciate and play board games grows and expands, then there's room for, more people to create and make more games to fill that demand, which is awesome.
Exactly. And it's such a big world, There are so many different kinds of board games. There are so many different themes and different mechanics. And I think having a place where people can go and get something for their level, whether they're super introductory and they just want to learn how to play Dominion or something like that, they can do that here. If they want to learn how to design a game, they can do that here. If they want to bring a game that they've been working on and put it in front of people and get their feedback, they can do that too. I think it's good for everyone, like you say, if we can offer something for everyone. And it just helps the community grow.
Go ahead, Dan. I've been sort of jumping all over. Go for it.
So, yeah, like you said, there's so much there for the community as a whole, and you know what? Like for the last, I don't know, 3 years, I think we've been talking with you guys. We are so excited to see you guys grow and help you guys as much as we possibly can. But I want to know a little bit more about your involvement with GOB Fest itself. Like, you've been with GOB Fest for how many years?
This is my second year on the organizing committee. So I went, I think it was the very first year. I can't remember now. So we. This is my second year on the organizing committee. We've had a few. I mean, it's a volunteer group, so it's always a challenge when things happen in people's lives, and maybe some people can't be in the organizing planning committee, and we get new faces in, and so it's kind of we just kind of come together and make it work every year. I think that. It really is definitely a group effort. It relies on the input and the work of a lot of people. So, and I am just one of those helping out, doing kind of whatever I can. I like to do things like this, and I get to do a few things. Coming out and talking to people about it. I really enjoy that part.
Yeah, I know we got a chance to talk with you last year about it as well.
Yeah.
So if anyone's out there and you want to see that video, go check it out because it's somewhere in our
on the YouTube page.
YouTube page somewhere. So anyways, but how many people are on the committee?
Goodness. Well, right now I think we are at around 9 people on the committee. 9 or 10. Like I say, we've had some kind of turnover. People had to bow out, and some people came in, and so it's in a bit of a state of flux. But I think 8 or 9 people. I'd have to count. And so we're also working on formalizing the group so that we have annual general meetings, and we elect, a secretary and a treasurer and that kind of thing, to just add a bit more structure to make it a little easier to carry on in future years. But that's something that's still in the works right now. So right now we're just focusing on the event.
It's coming up here in 2 weeks.
Yep, it's coming up quickly. So yeah, it's great. I think we're going to have a concession again, which I think was something that people really enjoyed. They liked being able to get something to eat there, and yeah.
So what games are you most looking forward to playing while you're at GOB Fest?
Well, That's a good question. Usually, I mean, we all register as volunteers. All the organizers register so that we can be slotted into the volunteer schedule, and then we choose our games as well, just in case we don't need to be working in a particular time slot. And I honestly cannot even remember what I signed up for. I just take it for granted that I'll probably be doing something the entire time. But I don't know. I'm excited for it all. Last year, we played kind of a impromptu game of Bandu in the kitchen while I was working the concession, and that was a lot of fun. I haven't played it since, but I really enjoyed it. So probably something like that. I'll probably go for the shorter, simpler games so that if I need to kind of jump out and do something, I can. And it's nothing too taxing because I know that I'll have a million different things running through my head at the time.
Now, in your own personal collection and or outside of GOB Fest game playing, do you have a few right now that you are just can't get enough of?
Oh, yeah, probably. I really like Twilight Struggle. It's one of the ones that we don't play very often because it's only a 2-player game. So if we've got people coming over, it's usually no good it's no group good for a group. But I think it's really interesting, and we haven't played it enough for me to fully understand kind of the best course of action. So there's still a lot of discovery. Every time I play, I am remembering things that I'd forgotten or learning things, kind of seeing the strategy more and more clearly every time we play. And I just think it's really cool. It's about it kind of recreates the Cold War. So one player plays as the USA and one player plays as the USSR. And the cards you play are actual historical events. So it gives me some insight into a period of history where I wasn't really alive and kind of into world history. And so it's just neat. I like the theme. I like the way it plays. I think it's just a great game. So that's at the top of my list. Also, Pandemic Legacy. I'm really enjoying that. That's, again, the discovery aspect. Like, the pandemic gameplay and the basic gameplay is the same. And it's wonderful. Like, I've always loved Pandemic. But the changes that come through are just so cool. It's really, every time it's exciting. It's a new thing every time. And so far, we've been doing really well and been getting pretty lucky. So
I was just going to say, without a lot of luck right off the top, is it as hard as original Pandemic?
It's hard. It is still hard. I mean, so we've won all our 3 games so far, the January, February, and March games. We won them all, but we won them by the skin of our teeth. Like, we couldn't have played another round. Like, we had to win because we won right on the last turn, we would have run out of cards. So it's still difficult. It's still a challenge, and that's, I think, what makes it fantastic, right? It's still the nail-biting sort of thing. You're hoping, and you have to be really, you have to just make the best decisions that you can every time, because you will still get just stomped on if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those games where I was like, I really wanted to start a group just for that, and that was just before I started this other one. So, I'm like, I can't do both. There's no way I can do both. But
it's hard. Yeah, it's and it's the kind of thing that's really special, So we've got the same 4 people, our core group, that we've kind of committed to playing with them, because it would be hard, I think, to swap someone in. I mean, you could do it, but if it were me, if I had to sit out a game for whatever reason and someone else played without me, I would be really jealous. Like, I want to play it every time. And you get the team going, like the team dynamic, and everyone's kind of pulling together. And so we always only ever play one game. So we got together we got together this morning and played one game of Pandemic Legacy, and then we usually play another game after that, a different game, just to kind of keep the good vibes going while still savoring every play of Pandemic Legacy. So highly recommended. If you haven't played it, I would recommend it.
Yeah, that's one of those games that I just really wanted to get right into for sure. That's
Yeah.
oh,
It'll suck you right in. So,
I
you know.
can't take another game on right now.
I know that feeling.
Star Wars RPG is eating your life right now.
It really is. Well, and it's because I'm doing the GM part of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like I have to come up with stories.
You control everything.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough role. Have you played Mysterium? It's the same sort of thing. I played the ghost in Mysterium, and so I think it's fairly similar. You know, you are kind of there's a lot of work that you have to do in giving people clues and that kind of thing, and all they have to do is solve the clues. Come on, that's easy.
Yeah, just have to show up. That's all. That's.
I promise I'll be there for the next game. I'm sorry.
I don't want to beat up on you too much because if you were sick, that's good. That's a good enough excuse. For this one time, next time you're puking,
yeah.
you can shut the camera off, right?
Audio only. I don't know if I'm ill with food poisoning. Do you really want the audio? Is that what you want?
You can mute it, right? Just a constant mute. Just listen. I want to move. So yes. Anyways, is there any other games that you are really enjoying or really digging at the moment?
Yeah, that you've played in the past, or new games that you've read about that are coming out that you're excited to play. What are
so many.
Hold your interest.
There's one that I'll talk about because we recently kind of broke it out again, and it's not a new game. It's a very old game, in fact, and we had to buy this game on eBay, used, and it was fairly expensive for an old game. It was, I think, $180, but it's out of print, so it's expensive because it's rare.
Yeah.
And it's called Magic Realm. And it kind of came out, I think it was released 1976, so right around the time, sorry, I'm getting corrected, 1979, sorry. It came out kind of sort of around the same time as D&D. So this whole kind of theme of wizards and you know, marauders and that kind of thing was still sort of new. And it's a really interesting game, but the rule book is 36 pages with no diagrams and just a whole bunch of font, like just these
tiny
little words, and you're just reading it and you're like, I think I understand. So it's a bit of a challenge to learn, but once you get into it, it's super fun. And it's just really cool to play a game that is one of the kind of original board games of that kind of theme and that type. It's not Monopoly, it's not Trouble, you know, like it's got a lot of theme, and it's got a lot of complexity, and it's just super cool, and I wish that I could play it. It would be like a full-time job. Like you sit down and play, and you might get through a game in 6 hours if you're lucky.
This is I'm looking on it on Board Game Geek at the moment, and my goodness, there is a lot of little moving parts in this one.
Yeah, it's really neat. Like, I think that it would do really well if someone made, like if someone made an app out of it. I think it would do really well because there's this board that you need to set up, and depending on kind of where you go and what die you've rolled at the beginning of the turn will determine what kind of monsters show up in the clearing where you are. And it's a pain to set all that stuff up. But if it was in an app, it would just be so easy. You wouldn't have to set it up. It would just be like, oh, you rolled this, and here you are. You get 2 dragons to fight. There you go.
I was just going to say, actually, there's a game on the Xbox that my boyfriend's been playing, which I'm really looking forward to start playing, called Hand of Fate. And it's basically a card dungeon crawler, except on Xbox, and that's exactly it. It's a random card generator, and the cards generate, and it's like, so you run into something, and it's a fight situation, and the cards come up, and oh, you have to fight 2 of these monsters and 3 of these monsters, and like, it's great. It looks amazing. I'm really excited to try it. But listening to you describe it, I'm like, that sounds exactly like the gameplay mechanism of Hand of Fate.
Ah, neat. Yeah, it's hard to get your hands on a copy of Magic Realm, but it's an interesting game.
It
So,
looks
and
amazing.
people have kind of taken the rule book and reproduced it with, things like a table of contents would be really helpful. And so there are kind of resources out there that people have made to make it easier for new players and easier for people to learn. So it is out there, but that's a good one. What else? What other games am I really into? Hey, we got something kind of totally different the other day called Flick 'em Up. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a nice little dexterity game.
Yeah. And we got it really kind of thinking of my stepdad because he loves Westerns and he loves crokinole. And we thought, this is perfect. You'll love it. And he was only kind of lukewarm on it. I don't know why. I think there's a rule where you can't use your thumb to like flick. You can only you can't like, because that'll make it really powerful. And so I think that I personally think that's why he didn't like it. He wanted to be able to flick with his thumb. But it's a neat little game, a neat little dexterity game. It's really fast moving, and you just kind of go and you flick things. It's nice for a change.
Yeah, no, that's that one got good reviews on it as well. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's there's a little bit of setup, but it's really cool. You set up all these little like buildings in your western town, and there were little cactuses and hay bales and stuff like that are kind of blocks that you set up. It was a neat little change and good for kind of any age. You know what I mean? If you have the dexterity to flick a little wooden disc, then you can play.
That's awesome. Well, Chelsea, do we have anything else that we'd like to add for tonight?
No, I don't think so. All of this talking about board games is something I always love. It just makes me want to go and play more of them. And, again, well, I will sort of end the show, I think, by saying a big thank you to Daniel, who is always, he's sort of my gateway to new board games these days. When I was in town over the last week visiting, he had me over for some games night, and I finally got to play. Dan's had it for a while and has played it, and listening to him describe it, I'm like, I'm so excited to play this game. And then I came over and I finally got to play it with him, Dead of Winter. Which
yeah.
so much fun.
That's
So
a
hard.
good game.
Like, we misread some of the rules and we're doing stuff that gave us like huge advantages, and we like it was pretty, like it was brutal. It's so much fun.
It is.
The mechanism of trying to balance cooperative play with your selfish play to create your, to meet your secret objective, and
and the potential of having a traitor, but you're not really sure.
Not really sure if you actually.
So you're trying to judge people's actions and think, are they a bad guy or are they just in it for themselves?
Well, and how, like, if you're not careful, if you're not on top of it, like, people die so fast.
Yeah.
Like,
it can
fast.
Be brutal. Yeah, just all of a sudden, there you go. Yeah, that's a great game. It's another one of those co-op games that is just so finely balanced, like Pandemic, like Eldritch Horror, that it's just always this razor's edge that you're walking. Like you have one bad turn if you just kind of like make one bad decision.
Yeah, and that was it right off the top.
Right off the first
we got
one.
For the round, we got a crisis that was like really bad, and then we did have a traitor, and our traitor totally screwed us over on it, which like set the tone for the entire game. It was so bad. So much fun.
Scrambling just to try to catch up.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So Dead of Winter, balanced by, I was also introduced to Sushi Go, which was so much fun.
I love that game. It is so much fun. I've taken it to work to play it at lunchtime.
I mean, let's be honest. The artwork is the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
It is so cute. I've started playing it with my goddaughter, who is 5.
Yep.
And at first, she really just only wanted to collect Mackie. And we're like, hey, you're never going to win if all you do is take all the Mackie cards. That's You just can't. But you know, she got through that and is now she's quite competitive, like within 5 points of each other, which is pretty good.
That's not bad. Well, my oldest boy, he's 6 years old. He that was his first ever big purchase. Like he's never bought anything ever, and so he really went. We got to go to the board game cafe, and we got to play it, and he was just in love with this game, and he was bugging me and bugging me. I'm like, you're gonna have to go buy it if you want it. So he broke open his piggy bank, got out his, I think it was $15 or whatever it was, I can't remember, and then went to the store, and I took him to the board, I think it was Mission, and he bought. That's his
Walked right
purchase.
in and asked the guy.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Walked
Good
straight
for
in.
him.
Where's
it was
sushi
good.
go?
Yeah. Where's your sushi go? I want sushi go.
That's great.
Yeah,
Getting him into it early. That's wonderful. That's excellent.
Yeah, and like he's one of those kids that he'll watch like the tabletop program on YouTube, learn a game, and then know exactly how to play it. Like,
wow, I don't even do that.
That's that he figured out how to play Sushi Go by doing that.
Watching a YouTube video. Yeah, when I sat down to play with him and Trina, he was like, "Yeah, I watched it on YouTube. So you do this and you do that," and I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
Yeah, he's like super fast. Like picking
good for
something
him.
up. Yeah, he and then he'll sit there and he'll just watch all the tabletop shows like one after another just because he loves. And then I told him the one day that we were going to tabletop, and he thought I meant to go talk to like Will Wheaton. He's like, "We're gonna go to tabletop. We're gonna go meet the tabletop guy." No. No, we're just gonna go to the cafe, which is totally different.
Yeah, they're different, but also great.
Yes, all good stuff. So
So a thank you to Dan, who continues to be my gateway to new board games, and I think that's one of my favorite things about the nerd and geek community. I mean, especially in Edmonton, I think it's huge and ever expanding and adding new minions every day, which is awesome. You know, the more geeks, the merrier. But board games in particular, I think it's one of those things where it really truly is, you know, oh my god, I just played this game, it's so amazing, how many people can I get over to play it so that they can see how amazing it is? And, you know, that's how games catch on like wildfire is, you know, anytime anybody tries an amazing game, it's, you know, how many other people can I introduce it to, which I think is one of my favorite things about board games is that, you know, it's such a communal experience. You always want to share new and great games with other people. So
I totally agree. It really is about the community and about, I mean, if we look at our GOB Fest registrations, a couple people come because they saw a Facebook ad, but by far the vast majority of people who have registered have either come to GOB Fest before or heard about it from a friend. Word of mouth is the way that people get into it and the way that people spread the games that they love, and that's just cool. I just really like that. In an age of, you know, digital marketing and that kind of thing, I like that that the face-to-face, you know, the recommendation of another person still carries so much weight.
It's grassroots in the like truest sense, you know.
For sure.
You try something yourself and you love it, and how many people can you get it out to? Yeah.
All right, so I think that's pretty much about all the time we have for tonight. But Allison, before we go, where can people find you guys on the web, or where can they register, all that kind of stuff?
For sure. gobfest.ca is our website. You can register online. We are still accepting volunteer registrations. We could use a few more volunteers, so if you want to come for free, you can do that. We have a Facebook page. Just look for GobFest on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Our handle is GobFest. So GobFest will get you there pretty much no matter what kind of platform you're on. And you can also drop in, of course, if you don't want to register in advance, but if you register in advance, you'll get a better shot at getting a spot on the games that you want to play, because some of the games have player limits. So,
Awesome. Well, that's about all the time we have for this week. Before we go, next week on the Nerdcast, we don't have someone lined up yet. We're hoping that we'll have someone locked in for this one next week.
If we don't, I vote we talk about Star Wars D&D.
Probably. That'll probably be what it'll be about.
But do we have any other asides from the awesome GOB Fest, which is on the Nerdcast calendar on our lovely web page? Do we have any other up-and-coming events on the calendar, Dan?
On the up-and-coming, well, yes, other than GOB Fest, we do have one I just put in here just recently, and that's from Mission and Fun and Games, another board game sort of event that's happening. Tabletop Day is coming, but Mission Fun and Games is not going to be part of Tabletop Day. But they on April 30th, they are still going to have some board gaming event that they're going to have at the store. So go to our website on our event page. You will find the links and all the event stuff there. And yeah, we got so many different things. And I want to say a big, huge thanks to Edmonton Nerd List. Kelly from the Edmonton
Thanks,
Nerd List.
Kelly, you send us such good stuff.
He sends so many events our way, and we put them all up on our calendar. So go and check that out.
Our Facebook message inbox is always teeming with messages from Kelly. So thank you so much, Kelly. keep up the good work. We love hearing all about the things you find.
Yes, and so yeah, we put them up on our calendar at northernnerdnetwork.com and just hit the upcoming events page.
Where else can our lovely listeners and viewers and anybody else out there in Nerdland, where can they find us?
Well, you guys can find us on our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/northernnerdnetwork, on Facebook at facebook.com/northernnerd, and on Twitter at northern_network. And that is pretty much it. I want to thank everyone out there for watching and or listening to this edition of the Nerdcast. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye!